So good afternoon, everyone. I am Caterina Scarpati from IRIS Change Management team, and we are here today to answer your questions on post-authorization procedures transition to IRIS. Before we start, some housekeeping rules. Please note that this session is being recorded and it will be made available via EMA YouTube channel. During this session, you will be able to ask questions via the interaction tool Slido. I will give you details on how to connect in a moment. Please note that interaction via Slido is voluntary and you may opt to remain anonymous. And of course, if you choose to use Slido, you consent to the processing of your personal data as explained in the EMA data privacy statement for Slido. Okay, so as mentioned, we are here to answer your questions. So we'll dive right now into that. To join Slido, please either go to slido.com, inserting this code, so IRISQA. Otherwise, you can simply scan the QR code that you see in this slide. In Slido, you can directly type your question, or you can also check the questions that are already present and meaning upvote the questions that you are interested in getting a response as soon as possible, because we will answer questions in order of upvotes. So, and we will show live questions on the screen and respond live to as many as we can during the hour we have. So feel free to start joining Slido and type your questions. Okay, so meanwhile, while you go to Slido and type your questions, just a recap of the scope of this session. So from January, so from the beginning of this month, all submissions that are sent on or after 20 December 2024, still via the current system, so Gateway and PSUR repository, are now managed in IRIS for the post-authorization procedures that are listed in this slide. So variations, Article 61.3 notifications, marketing authorization transfers, post-authorization measures, summary assessments, referrals, post-authorization safety study, post-marketing surveillance studies, line extensions, and renewals. The only exception to this list of post-authorization procedures is periodic safety update reports, which will transition to IRIS a bit later for procedures starting on 6 February 2025 and onwards as per the PSUR procedural timetable that has been published on EMA website. So the purpose of this session is answering questions you may have on this particular transition. So questions on transition of pre-authorization procedures, for example, are not in scope of this session. Of course, we will provide later in time information also on the time frame concerning the transition of these other procedures to IRIS. Note that we have also another session similar to this one, still a 1-hour session planned on 17th of January 2025, where we will still be there with the IRIS team to answer your questions on this transition. Okay, so now let's go directly to the Q&A. We have here today with us Maddalena Dutamare, the product owner for the transition of the post-authorization procedures to IRIS. And she will be here to answer your questions. So let's start with the first one. When can we expect a complete EMA frequently asked question document with all Q&A from all webinars and Q&A clinics? So actually, I can respond to this one. First of all, we have already published an FAQ document with the most frequently asked questions concerning the transition, and we have selected the questions that are included there according to what we saw were the most frequent topics in previous webinars and Q&A clinics. Of course, this is a living document, so we will further update this this month by the end of this month, because we are collecting further questions. For example, from the last Q&A clinic we had on 19th of December. And then please also note that we have sent to the participants of the last training session on 12th of November a comprehensive list of all the questions that were asked there with all the answers, but we will also publish it on the event webpage. So you can also find some answers there. I hope that this responds. Okay, when will the guidance document be completely updated? March. So we have just updated the guidance document in December. There were some further updates made, also concerning other products, in particular related also to the new fee regulation implementation at the beginning of this month. But further updates are planned. Madalina, I don't know if you want to provide already a timeline for this.
I think it's a good idea good afternoon, to have these walk-in clinics for you to ask the questions, and based on that we can look into a further revision of the guidance.
Yeah, indeed. Let's say that this is a living document, so you cannot expect that there will be a final version that never gets updated, because of course we always take your feedbacks, and also, yeah, for now the post-authorization procedures were transitioned, but further procedures will transition to IRIS. So this document will need for sure further updates throughout this year. I hope this answered, but let us know if you need some further clarification. Will you add a functionality in the IRIS portal to download the entire IRIS case?
We do not have that planned yet, but if this is a general requirement, we could consider placing it on a backlog and prioritize it for development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Please note that if you have suggestions, there is a specific type of ticket that you can raise via service desk. You can find instructions in the supporting guidance that was published on the IRIS website. So you have a ticket you can raise if you have a specific issue, but if you just ask a question, you can insert any suggestions that you have collected within your organization that could improve your experience. And then if many come, we take them into account. Then, can you provide a 2025 roadmap? So on that, as I specified at the beginning of the session, this session focuses mostly on the transition that has just happened. So the transition of post-authorization procedures to IRIS. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, we will provide you with also information on the next transitions that will happen of further procedures. So once now we've we finish, working on the development aspects, because you can imagine that now that we're go live has happened, a lot of work in the background is happening to check everything is working correctly, etc. And after that, we will focus on what comes next. And for sure, we have already in plan to organize a further informative webinar for industry to focus on what will come next. So yes, stay tuned, and always our recommendation is always to check the EMA website and the IRIS website, where we regularly post updates on upcoming sessions.
Also, if I can add, I included the network portfolio roadmap, where you have also the PLM, RPM, high-level planned developments. But as Katerina mentioned, for this year, you would have designated sessions for information for the industry stakeholders.
Thank you, Madalina. How long after a Type 2 variation submission can we expect the submission entry to be created on IRIS portal by EMA?
It's usually a few days, so a few business days. I think at worst would be a week. But you will, unless there are any issues, you will receive an email when this has happened. So it's you don't need to look at or at least the portal contact doesn't need to look at the IRIS portal. Anyways, first time the case is only going to be visible for the IRIS contact. So the product contact in this case, if it's a variation, and then, but you will anyways be notified, and then you as a product contact will be able to add managers, contributors, change the contact for the case.
Thank you. For PSUR submission, the QPPV person will receive the alert from IRIS once the submission entry is created. Can the QPPV person give access to other people in the company to the submission entry?
So just to clarify, it's not always the QPPV for PSUR, it's really the contact you have set when you created the delivery file. If in your organization, the QPPV is the contact person for PSUR, indeed, they will be the person alerted once a submission is created. And indeed, this contact has a manager role on the case and can give access to other people in the company. It also can change any user associated to a case with the manager has a manager role, can change the contact. So yes.
Okay, thank you. Non-CAP HQ person is our contact person. MAHs are local affiliates. Does this contact person needs to be affiliated in EMA account and IRIS with all of these MAHs, or is the affiliation only with the mother company sufficient?
It should be, if I'm not wrong, the same company, which it should be affiliated to the same company, which is the marketing authorization holder for the product. So there is a relationship between the product marketing authorization holder and the company you should be affiliated to as a contact. If these non-CAP contact person, so if your affiliates, for example, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. Because you're a non-CAP, it's the headquarters, and then you have local affiliates. All these local MAHs will have under their ownership the product. So yes, you should be connected to the products and the marketing authorizations, or the marketing authorizations the holders the products belong to.
Thank you. Will the linguistic revision process stay outside IRIS from D5 onwards?
For the time being, yes. So it's anyways outside any system today, so no change there. The only difference is that at day 25 and at day 5, you still need to submit it in the case, but of course you will send it also to your contacts for the linguistic review. And we do have some requirements for including it in IRIS, but this is not yet defined, so it's going to take some time, though the plan is to try to integrate it into the platform.
Thank you. If a PSUR submission is created by EMA in IRIS, where does EMA obtain the details of submission contact for each of the ECTD sequence and assign the role accordingly in IRIS, as there is no application form in the PSUR submission?
There is actually a place when you create a delivery file for submission on the repository, you are asked for a contact. This is where you will place the submission contact at email, which needs to be a user with an individual email address and an IRIS account. And Emma will use this as a submission contact for your PSUR.
Thank you. In the electronic application form, do we have to put the new contact person we have communicated to EMA for each product?
If you have a work sharing with, for example, more centrally approved products, your default contact will be your lead product contact, because at the letter of intent, when you announce a work sharing, you are requested to inform which is the product in the lead. So based on that, you should state the same person. However, we do not look at, because the product contacts are in for the variations. For example, we have the contacts, so we don't really look at the EAF. So that's why we'll have a disclaimer in the EAF that you at most should fill in the existing contact, and that should be the contact for the lead product. So it's actually, when you say marketing authorization holder, that marketing authorization holder who is submitting this EAF, if you have different ones, will be the marketing authorization of the lead product. So we have everything working in the same line, the fees, the contact, and the lead product. So it's always one signature and not more than one. Anyways.
Thank you. When will the data for PSUSAs be accessible after submission? Submission date according to URD list is today.
Submission deadline, you mean? Yes, so I think there are two aspects. So for PSURs, we only start IRIS case management next month. So that's why probably you haven't seen it. But the case creation and the notification, it happens somewhere few days before this the submission deadline. I think I have to double check with my colleagues, but in your case, for sure, today's deadline is going to be still managed in the old databases. From next month, from the February start, the PSURs will be managed in IRIS. And the reason is because there is a lot of requests for clarification from the industry. Not everyone has managed to sort out their contacts in their IRIS accounts, so you really must address any remaining issue you have with your IRIS accounts for the contacts, because this would not be any further delayed. So it was a one-time, let's say, extension for everyone to get their accounts together.
Okay. Now, PSUSA, can you clarify if IRIS submission is created for each involved MAHs only once, irrespective of number of registrations of countries? For example, A is MAH for product in 10 countries. Only one submission is created or 10?
It's one per product. So if you have 10 countries, means 10 NAPs. So it's 10 products and 10 submissions.
Okay. EMA has asked all contact persons interacting with EMA, for example, QPPVs, to register in IRIS so that EMA can send emails to them from IRIS. What IRIS user role these contact persons should have? Could you clarify?
It should be a manager role because they are the first person on the case. So it must be a manager.
NAP SUSA is for API. Many products, countries, and MAHs are involved. How many IRIS submissions will be created? One submission for each submitted ECTD sequence?
In practice, yeah, I think that's correct because each ECTD sequence is one product. So in practice, that's correct. So, for example, if your contact for, let's say, 10 products, you will see 10 submissions with different numbers. However, the case number, so the PSUR case number is going to be the same. And yeah, I think even if in case you'll receive 10 times the assessment report for each submission, if you are the same company, you'll receive the same version for each submission.
Thank you. Can you confirm that contact person for PSUR is the person in the delivery file? Last time in Q&A, you answered me that there could be generic email because no connection is to IRIS.
Thank you, Mari, for your question. We have corrected the Q&A. So there was a misunderstanding. In practice, you could, in the past, fill in a generic email, but it would be of no use because we do need an IRIS account on an individual address. So the question was maybe, not practically answered, but the practical response is that you do need an individual email address with IRIS account to be filled in this delivery file, because this will be your contact person on the IRIS portal. And I think in the next few days or so, the Q&A will be corrected. What also maybe it's of general interest is that soon it will be even not possible to fill in a generic email address because there is some development ongoing to only allow addresses which have an IRIS account for this field, just to be on the safe side. So you would not be able to submit if you don't have an IRIS account.
Thank you. Okay. Regarding the new procedure number format in IRIS, what is the process group for PAM submissions such as Annex 2 or recommendation updates?
We still have the PAM, so it's going to be EMA/PAM/10-digit number. And within the case, you will see the type of measure, basically.
Is the contact person indicated in the delivery file the same as the EMA registered contact person for post-authorization, or can another person be added as the contact person in the delivery file?
I'm not sure if so I think we are talking about centrally approved products and PSURs. For PSURs of the centrally approved products, even if you fill in a contact on the PSUR repository submission, the default is still the product contact from the case. As per the model today, I think there's no change there. We do the same today.
Okay. When will the updated variations classification guidelines be made available?
I would park this question because this is nothing we are working on, so it's not really the right forum for this. Maybe you can ask a question by Ask EMA.
What kind of iris role should have a QPPV? So I think we responded, right?
Well, yeah, but it's if your QPPV will be a contact for a procedure, it's always manager. So just to clarify.
For NAPS, if in XCVMPD the EU QPPV email address provided is a generic address, we should be updated with a personal one, but contact email should be updated in XCVMPD or in IRIS.
Well, you should update it in XCVMPD as well, I would say, because it's mostly for refers, to be honest, safety refers. We are using for, at least for human, we use the QPPVs as a contact. So in IRIS, don't really have a possibility to update this person, as far as I know. And the deadline was the end of 2024. So it's as soon as possible, I would say.
Can annual Type 1A report be submitted at the 12-month mark if aligned with the annual renewal date for the product, for example, rather than 9 months?
That's really a procedural question. So even if I could answer, I would choose not to, because it's really, unless am I reading it wrong and it has any relationship to IRIS? I don't see any relation. I really see it as a procedural question. So if I'm missing anything and it has any a connection to IRIS, just feel free to clarify, to make a follow-up.
For PSUSA procedures, will it be the QPPV that is the manager of cases created? If so, do we need to tell them to add other managers for others to be able to view and manage the procedure?
It will be the QPPV only if this person is included by the submission or at the delivery file. You have a contact, right? In order to be able to submit, you need to create a delivery file. There you have a mandatory field to include a contact person. If you choose to have the QPPV as a contact there, yes, they would be the contact. Otherwise, it's the person you choose to have as a contact for your PSUR. So we don't have a default that the QPPV for the product is the manager of the cases created. Yeah, just that to have a bit of clarity there.
So this is still concerning the requirement of the download of the whole IRIS case. So we took that into account. Please define the individual email address characteristics. If this is the email linked to the EMA portal account, is this acceptable for IRIS?
EMA portal account, I guess it's IRIS portal.
Maybe it's in general, the EMA credentials.
Well, if you have an email which is just yours and is typically including some indication of your name, and it's only you are the person who has access to the password and all the accounts and connected to this, and only you can read the emails sent via this email, this is an individual email address. So if these criteria are met, then you can create an IRIS account via EMA account management, and it would meet the requirements.
Thank you. We have raised a request to create manager role and admin role. It is awaiting for approval by someone. Can you confirm who has to provide approval to get the access?
You would have, according to at least in the IRIS registration guide, I think you do have there all the instructions. Is it something and what I'm missing? So you have the user admin. And this user admin should be the one which is first created. And then any other role will be approved by this admin, I think. This is the principle. So you need to first have the user admin created. If you need to have approval, then and it's too long, maybe create a service desk ticket or something, or maybe it has been missed if you have waited for a long, but manager will be approved by this admin once it's created.
Okay. So for NAPS, non-safety referral, December demo, EMA said that NCAs will provide the contact person. This will result that everyone in array needs IRIS access, in this case 600 people. Better to send also non-safety referrals to QPPV for further distribution within the company.
Well, I can discuss this with my colleagues. So that's the process today. I understand that you would have many products and each product will have probably a different contact. So far, this is really the setup. I don't think it hurts to have IRIS account for anyone. It's a good thing. IRIS will be anyways the platform Emma will work with for the next years. So for the time being, you do need the IRIS account and access. And if there are maybe more than one request, we will look into either, looking into the process or see how it would best fit for all the companies, because of course it has to be a solution which is what makes it's useful for the manager. But thanks for flagging this. It's very relevant for us to understand.
Thank you. Should products show under my organization regulatory entitlements with an entry specifically for RPM for each MA? If yes, what does it look like and what action is required if not showing? Or will it only appear after the first procedure management activity?
There's a difference between products and procedures. So I think so your regulatory entitlements are the proof of approval of a product or validity of a product. So they will stay there, but the fact that you are a contact for a procedure doesn't make you an owner of or contact for a regulatory entitlement. So there's no connection today between these two elements.
Are there any notifications that will only be received by QPPV?
As far as I mentioned, and as much as I know, only the safety referral for human products have as default the QPPV as a contact.
Thank you.
If I'm wrong, we will correct the Q&A, but that's what information I have today.
Okay, then for the questions that we are not able to respond live, we will respond in writing. The Slido will stay open for 1 week, so you'll be able to check the answers there. We have noticed one ongoing procedure submitted prior to December 20th that is available now under ongoing submissions. Why is this?
So one answer could be that your product was already transitioned to IRIS before, because as you know, we had a small sample of products, 100 something products, which were already transitioned. So maybe that's the reason. That's the most likely reason. And if not, maybe it was submitted very maybe it was submitted on 19th after business hours or around that. Could be also that this may have happened, and the registration team just chose to do that, to record them.
Thank you. We are 4 managers and 1 QPPB. All of us are registered as a manager in IRIS. In case of an inspection notification, is EMA going to contact all of us or to communicate by IRIS only to a QPPB who is the contact person for the products?
There's no connection between inspections and the regulatory procedures. So the inspection process continues as it is. So I would not be able to give you the details of that, but I suppose there are guidances available for that.
Okay. William may send email notifications for centralized procedure concerning variations, or should the contact person find out the status of the variation and also the documents provided by EMA only in IRIS?
There are notifications, and typically there are when a submission is created. So when we create the case, and on the portal the submission is available, then at validation you also receive a notification if the procedure has a validation step. You would also receive a notification every time a document is shared with you. So these are 3 types of notifications which happen for sure.
Is the submission of SUSA only NAP products will be performed by IRIS only after the second wave?
I do not understand what second wave is, but all the PSURs will be managed in IRIS, starting with the procedures, which will start in February. So that's the plan, irrespective if they are SUSA NAP CAP, mix of them, or pure NAP or CAP.
Thank you. For PSUR submissions, to double check, the contact person in IRIS case will be the one entered by the MAH in the delivery file?
Yes.
Thank you. SUSA, what source will you use for the contact person? The cover letter or the information in the delivery file of the ECTD sequence?
The information in the delivery file of the sequence, so just to confirm the previous question.
What about the supplementary response to SUSA? Will it be managed by repository as of now?
Yes, so the submission remains the same. Only the case management and collaboration will be taken over by the IRIS system.
Thank you. The process for annual renewal for conditional MA marketing authorization is not very clear. Is this information available on IRIS platform?
It's the same process as for every other procedure. So it's not different from a variation. The submission takes place via the gateway, and you do not have any procedural information on the IRIS platform. Yeah, so the submission continues as today. The EMA gateway is the submission portal for human products in ECTD format. Your annual renewal will be submitted by your company. Then EMA will receive it, will record the case in IRIS. The contact person of the product will be the contact person of the procedure, which will be also notified after this case was created in IRIS, and the collaboration is the same as for the other procedures.
Thank you. For centralized procedure submissions, SUSA, if official contact is out of office, would it be sufficient for the backup to be added in the delivery file, or should the official contact be temporarily changed?
Yes, I would say the contact should be temporarily changed. If you don't have that opportunity, you do have a coordinator, or you should have a person with a coordinator role who can assign managers to the case. So let's say this person didn't get the chance to have anyone on the case. You do not have a contact person. There is a coordinator. No. Yes, I think it's a coordinator, and it's also can assign managers to the case. So it's really a good role. Please check the IRIS guide to registration. That's giving you an overview of the roles you need to have, because then in such situations you could simply add another user to your submission with a manager role, and then they can assign themselves even as a contact for the case. So it's not necessary that this contact assigns another contact. If someone has a manager role on the case, they can change the contact.
Okay. Thank you. If someone is registered to receive SUSE reports for PSURs via UDRALink, will this process change, and will the SUSEs be sent on the IRIS platform?
Yes. Okay. I explained before, so it's fine.
Will the linguistic review of the A+25 for new marketing authorization applications submitted before the 20th of December, but where the assessment is still ongoing, be within IRIS?
Just to clarify, every case procedure which has been submitted and managed throughout with SIMED, so with our old system, including UDRALink, will still continue to and will be finalized via the old systems. For the MAs, even further, they are not implemented at all in IRIS. We have a plan to implement them towards the end of the year, so the second half of the year. And so for these procedures, it's not even an option currently to have them managed in IRIS.
Thank you. For SUSE procedures, is it possible that from January 2025, the LP fees notes are received via IRIS?
I think it's probably a good suggestion, but I would log it as a requirement via a schema or the service desk, something along those lines, because it's not we are not controlling the fee notes, the fee cover notes.
The products for our active organization ID do not appear in IRIS, and this was a known issue from EMA. Do you know when this issue is expected to be solved? Thank you.
I think you may have a ticket to IT raised, and maybe it's a good idea to remind on that ticket that you are waiting for a resolution. It's nothing we can really expedite, but it's good to frequently follow up and ensure your issues are resolved.
Thank you. If I will submit a variation, but will be off when process-related message is sent to IRIS, how my substitutes are notified? Can they also access the message?
No, unless you send them, you set your substitute as a contact for the length of your absence, and that would be something which would be encouraged. Of course, you could set auto-forward rules. That's also something you could do. I think there are quite some advanced rules where you could direct a certain email or from an address to a certain recipient. That could also be something, but it's really up to you what option to go for.
Thank you. We added our QPPD and quality defect contact in IRIS as an industry coordinator, as believed they will not receive automatic emails, as this will go to the main contact. Why do they then need to be managers?
I think just looking at the user guide, that's why I sometimes have a pause. What it's written, that industry coordinator, they are users who can access any submission application made on behalf of an organization, and not only those where the user is a creator or has the manager contributor. Please note that this role does not allow to create new submission of any kind. For that, it is necessary to also have the role of industry manager for the same organization. So if you have coordinator, it's not enough to, not that you will create a submission, but you cannot even, I think there is some limitation. So you do need to have manager to ensure you have manager role. As far as I know, the contact can only be changed by a manager role. So I would not. So there's also like EMA recommends to have at least 2 users with admin role, to have 2 users with coordinator role. And they say that this would be important to reassign submission and portal contact. So with regards to the RPM, it could be that it's sufficient, but I would not rely only to have coordinators, because manager is a role which is defined for a certain submission. I'm not sure if a coordinator could withdraw a case. So it's really something, we could further investigate, but it's not specified also in this user guide. So the same person can have more than one role, definitely also.
If I received a PAR in 2025 for PSUR submitted in 2024, where the generic email was used for initial submission, can I use in response delivery file the same generic email, or do I need to use personal email with IRIS account?
For this situation, the PSUR is still managed in the old system, so you can include a generic email address.
Meanwhile, just to let you know that I launched the usual feedback survey on Slido, so feel free to go there and check it out. It's just a couple of questions, one rating question, and then one open question where you can leave further feedback and any suggestions for improvement for future sessions. Thank you. Next question. For VMP variations, the array are to be submitted in IRIS. Does this include non-caps? There is no submission type for the array in IRIS. How should this be submitted?
So the VRAs for centrally approved products will be submitted via the gateway. So the submission type doesn't change. They will be submitted via the gateway. The VRAs for the centrally approved products. EMA does not manage the VRAs for non-centrally approved products. The only procedures which include NAPs for the procedures EMA-led. So if you have I'm not even sure if VRAs can be a NAP-CAP combination. If they can, you anyways can submit them via the gateway, but you will not submit via IRIS. So there's no, you should not submit via IRIS. If there are others, so for pure national variations which are not part of work sharing, they are still submitted and managed in your national system. I'm not sure if maybe I didn't understand the question or it's a bit of confusion. But if you have nationally approved VRAs in a work sharing with centrally approved VRAs, you submit as per today via the gateway. You do not. There is no possibility or should not be to submit on IRIS for the regulatory procedures. As I mentioned, submission remains the same as today. Case management and collaboration takes place via IRIS.
Okay, thank you. Because there is no possibility to ask second contact person, how can we know in advance that some referral or PAR will be received?
You could have an auto-forward rule for all your emails that if it comes from IRIS, there is a designated IRIS EMA email, and you could forward that to a generic mailbox, definitely. That would be one of the situations. If you have an out of office, so for referrals, for example, there is always a first email to see if the contacts are still valid. So if we receive an out of office, we will ask for another contact. A preliminary assessment report, if you that you know already, you are expecting a document for a procedure that should be arranged in advance. So, or at least the coordinator can change the submission contact on the portal.
Thank you. What is the role to be requested to maintain the marketing status data?
Can you maybe check the guidance or submit a question to Ask EMA, because this is related to marketing status and we do not cover that process.
Do the PMA transfers also need to be submitted via IRIS?
Yes, if they are centrally approved products. No, sorry, I would not go there because I think no, it's correct. So because we do have a marketing authorization transfer process for veterinary products, but centrally approved products only. I think that's correct. They have to be submitted via IRIS unless you have another information and me covering mostly the human products. In my experience, making a mistake. We do have a marketing authorization veterinary transfer process, which we developed. So I would assume yes, for centrally approved products, but not submitted via IRIS. They will be managed via IRIS. The submission will take place via the gateway. So just keep in mind, maybe I should repeat, and we should always repeat that the submission still takes place via the current systems.
Thank you. We have submitted the request for EMA account management system as well. No field or checkbox available for signed affiliation letter attachment. Name is listed for both requester and requestee, but unable to find any pending request.
Okay. I'm not sure what you mean. Probably this is the question about the products and or one of the tickets I think you had is the account management, right? The one switch. Can you send this? I mean, your ticket to iris@ema-europa.eu, and then we could see if that's an issue. We can forward it to IT. I guess this is the problem with the accounts. You had the admin and the manager. And I'll try to respond to that. There's one more question. So maybe we take this one.
An email like pharmacovigilance@company.com, is it valid as an individual email?
So this doesn't look like an individual email, but if you are the only one person who has the password, can read the email, and has accounts only they can open, the answer would be maybe. there are some checks on IAM, so I would not guarantee, because this doesn't look like an individual email address. So the name is generic, right? So this would hint that you actually are trying to register a generic mailbox.
Okay, so we have completed all questions for today. So thank you very much, Madalina, for responding. We remind you that we will have another similar session on the 17th of January. Also, reading your comments, we can create the Slido in advance and make it available via the event webpage. So you can start submitting your questions there and check if someone else has already asked a question similar to you, and you can upvote it in advance. And then, the recording from this session will be available as soon as possible in the coming weeks. And as said at the beginning of the session, note that we have the FAQ available on the IRIS website, and we will update it in the next weeks with the key questions that arise from these walk-in clinics. So thank you very much, and I leave to you, Madalina, for closing.
I also want to thank you for your time. Please log into the next also walk-in clinics with your questions. Maybe if you have any examples, any issues, have a good day, I would say. Bye-bye.